Caitlin. And Caitlin, I have to tell you that the idea of making these seedling pots from newspaper is just fascinating to me. So tell us all about that.
Yeah, this was something I hadn't thought about either. But once I did some research, I was like, wow, this is something every gardener should be doing. If you have newspaper lying around, you can make seed starting pots, and it's super easy. It's using something that's free. Reuse, reuse, or reduce, reuse, recycle. So it fits into our ethos. So today I'm going to walk you through why you should consider using newspaper pots for your seed starting pots, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to try something different. So I'll first start out, we all hear that there's a problem with plastic, and this article that I cited, I believe, is from 2016. So this is now, really outdated information, but it's still pretty sobering. So half of all plastics manufactured have been made in the last 15 years, and 448 million tons of plastic manufactured in 2015. And that production is only expected to rise. So, I don't know if you guys hear in your municipal, recycling programs, they say, there are all these things about certain plastics they can take and certain plastics they can't. And in doing some research for this presentation, there were mixed results on whether or not seed trays that we would use for seed cultivation or seed sprouting are even recyclable. 8 million tons of plastic waste goes into our oceans every year. This is, again, the article cited coastal communities, but all the plastic created in the world contributes to this problem. And manufacturers are always looking for ways to make their plastics more durable and stronger so that they can be used for more applications. And that only serves to extend the life of the products that already take a long time to break down. And then these plastics can take up to 400 years to break down. So just to kind of frame the issue, it's really easy to go to your garden store and buy one of those cheap plastic seed trays. But, in the dead of winter, when you're thinking about your garden and, dreaming of all the beautiful, herbs you're going to plant, make some seed pots and save some money and save the planet. That's my pitch today. So in preparing for this presentation, there are two different terms that get tossed around: compostable and biodegradable. Sorry about that. That's a live TV moment. My dog wanted to jump in on this topic. So biodegradable products can break down. So plastic eventually will biodegrade. You hear that term a lot, and it means that they break down without oxygen and turn into carbon dioxide, water, and biomass within a reasonable amount of time. So, that's a really flexible definition. Whereas compostable items break down to carbon dioxide, they use oxygen to break down, and they break down within 90 days and leave no toxic residue. So newspaper falls into that category. So to make these pots, this is so easy. I actually had to pad out my presentation so that there would be enough time to fill my allotted space, because it's really, truly that easy. So you need a pair of scissors, you need a jar, and you need some newspaper. And that's really it. So there are two types of pots that I researched for this presentation, and I'm going to walk you through how to do one, the very easy one, because it's really fast and easy to walk through. If you're a crafty person and you want a little bit of a challenge, you can go to my link that I shared for the square pot. It's really cute. It also doesn't take very long, so it's a fun activity. Again, if it's supposed to rain for the next 24 hours, so if your kids are bored, this is something you can do with them. So I'm going to pause sharing for just a minute here. This is live TV, trying to do this for the first time. So there are, like I said, there's two pots, and I did test them out. So I made my awkward square pot and it worked. And then I made the little round pot. One thing is at the bottom of this, there's no way to secure it, and that's okay. But once you put soil in it and it gets kind of damp and then you set it on a surface, this will compress and it's not going to fall apart. So it might look a little flimsy when you put it together, but it'll work. So the only prep that I did for this session was to cut a full newspaper in half. So this is half of a full page. Literally just fold it in half. When I was in school, they called this hot dog style. The long way. So you'll get this strip, and then you take your jar, and you want to leave kind of an overhang at the end here. So you want, you know, a couple inches. And then you just wrap it around. You don't want to do it too tight because you have to slide this off. I did that the first time. I was like, you know, making it so secure and then I couldn't get the jar out. So don't do that. So once you get it all, you know, wrapped around, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you're not going to win any prizes for perfect construction. You just smush the bottom. And they say as many times as you can. So this was not, this might have been a little bit too long, but you literally just smush it around the bottom of that form. So, and you can press really hard against the jar. And then you pull the jar out, and you've got your pot. And then for added stability, you just fold down, so you can show this, you just fold the lid of it down. You get a little crimp and it helps hold the pot together. It'll seal the sides. Go around that. So that you kind of fold, you see that you have a fold on the inside. And again, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but this absolutely will hold soil and it's more durable than you think. It's not gonna, you know, the minute it gets wet, it's not gonna break down. You know, it'll hold seeds for the amount of time that it needs to hold seeds. And then just about the time your seedlings are ready to be transplanted in the garden, this will be starting to break down and you can plant the whole thing in the ground. So I'm gonna go back to my slideshow here. Okay, so once you've made these, oops, going the wrong way. So the one thing that I would recommend is that you place these on a tray or something, A, to catch the water while you're taking care of your seedlings, and so that when you're ready to plant them outside, you can just carry them out on that. You're not handling the newspaper pots once they're planted. So you're gonna fill these with soil, put in your seeds, give them a little water, and use it just like you would any other seed starting medium. And then, you know, like I said, when you're ready, you're going to plant the whole thing in the ground and the newspaper is just going to break down, leave no trace. It will reduce shock for your plants. So they'll, you know, your seedlings are really delicate. You don't want to handle them any more than you absolutely have to. And this way you hardly have to handle them at all. Just dig a hole, put the pot in, and you don't disturb the root system. You don't, you know, break the stem. It's a really limited disruption sort of system. So again, this was a really quick, short, simple presentation, but there were a couple of really interesting references that I wanted to share with all of you. So the National Geographic article about plastic pollution, there's a ton of information out there about the plastic pollution issue. So if you can reduce your usage, that's great. And then the University of Nebraska Medical Center actually had a really helpful write-up of what's biodegradable versus compostable and how those terms get used interchangeably. And then the Environmental Protection Agency has a guide to composting at home, which is pretty cool. So, you know, newspaper is one of those, you know, you hear about green matter and brown matter. Newspaper can be shredded and mixed in with your home compost, and it's a helpful amendment to add there too. So there are lots of different applications because, you know, this is half of a sheet. And depending how many seeds you're starting, you might still have a lot of newspaper left over. And then these are the links. The HGTV one is the simple, easy version. And then Instructables is the, you know, cute square version. This didn't, you know, it didn't take me very long, but there was no way for me to show you guys how to do this because it requires folding on a flat surface and I don't have that sort of technology. But I mean, truly, it took me 10 minutes. I was, you know, listening to the news. It was really fun. And then, you know, if this isn't for you, there is a really interesting article from the Piedmont Master Gardeners about other recycled seed starting containers you can use. Toilet paper tubes, and I think they had a couple other things in there. I can't remember all of them, but you know, this is only one of the many ingenious ways you can recycle things in your household for seed starting. Happy to take any questions if there are any.
That was great. Thank you. I've never tried the newspaper. I think I'm going to have to try that. I did try the toilet paper roll and that worked pretty well. So I'm challenged now. I think even I, as a totally non-crafty person, could build a newspaper pot.
Not crafty at all. This is a, like, you know, no experience required activity.
I might be able to pull that one off.